The Democratic establishment is joining up with a lot of disparate groups in utterly
Only positive vibes. Thank you for the 5 gift subs. Thank you.
freaking out for 2 days running over the fact that Andrew Cuomo lost the New York City Democratic mayoral primary to Zoran Mamdani. And a lot of people are frustrated by it. Perhaps nobody is more frustrated and at the same time more biased about it than his brother, Cris. So we're going to get to Cris Cuomo and what he thinks about that win, what he thinks about the state of the Democratic Party, what he thinks about progressives. But before we get to that, we do have a big piece of news, which is that, and this is different than yesterday, Andrew Cuomo apparently, at least as of right now, is not in fact going to be launching an independent bid to become the mayor of New York. And so now that's a good development. I want everyone to bear in mind that it would be strategic in the immediate aftermath of such an enthusiastic win by Mamdani and his supporters to say that you're not going to run, and then you back off for a month and you allow the media and the Democratic establishment and the PACs to shred Zoran, and then you come in to save the Democrats or whatever. Now, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I would just say don't totally lower your shields. Andrew Cuomo is a pretty ambitious guy. I don't think we've necessarily.
Sorry, this was from a couple days ago, but Andrew Cuomo's already given up on that. He's already trying to run as an independent, I believe. Yeah, he's running. But I wanted to watch the Cris Cuomo, the Cuomo brothers.
Necessarily seen the last of him. But that said, here is his brother to defend Andrew.
The Democratic Party is now officially in MAGA mode. We are now on both sides in a period of extremism. The same way MAGA played with the prejudices of white nationalism, you're seeing an identical dynamic on the left with prejudices like tacitly supporting extreme Islamism or targeting Jews. For the right, it's migrants. For the left, it's Jews. It's fundamentalist Christians dominating the right. It's fundamentalist Islamists making headway on the left. I know that doesn't sound like Democrats, but that party is dead.
No, it doesn't sound.
There's something about Cris Cuomo hitting Jews with the hard R somehow, and there isn't even an R in there, that is unsettling. I do love the fact that, like, Lander teamed up with Mamdani, that one of the Jewish candidates and one of the Muslim candidates teamed up to defeat the true evil, the Italians.
That said, here is his brother
to
defend Andrew.
The Democratic Party is now officially in MAGA mode. We are now on both sides in a period of extremism. The same way MAGA played with the prejudices of white nationalism, you're seeing an identical dynamic on the left with prejudices like tacitly supporting extreme Islamism or targeting Jews. For the right,
extreme Islamism.
it's migrants. For the left, it's Jews. It's fundamentalist Christians dominating the right. It's fundamentalist Islamists making headway on the left. I know that doesn't sound like Democrats, but that party is dead.
No,
yeah, I guess I just missed the memo where free bus fare and public grocery stores and cheaper halal food. Oh, well, cheaper halal food is definitely Islamism. Sorry, scratch that one. Rent freeze, cheaper housing. I just missed the memo on how these things are radical Islamism. My bad. Sorry. Yeah, actually, it is. It's like in the Quran. It's one of the first verses. Allah says, Mamdani is the radical Islamist. And all that he wishes for is for radical Islamism. Also, I just realized we got 3 more tomato times. Oh, fuck.
It doesn't sound like Democrats. It doesn't also sound sane or connected to what's going. So first of all, one of his comparisons was that he appears to acknowledge the MAGA movement is dominated by extremist Christians, which I would say is partly true. I don't think that's the worst part of the MAGA movement, but it is true. And then on the left, you have Islamists making headway. That's not the same thing. First of all, it's not even true. He's not an Islamist. He's not a radical. He's not a jihadist. God damn, could you stop for 5 seconds playing into that BS trope? But even if we accepted it, that's not parody. And think about how casually he both sides extremism. So you have the MAGA movement, which controls the White House, the Congress. It's now taken over the Supreme Court. You almost literally, there's like 5 Republicans in the country that have been elected that do not subscribe to everything that Donald Trump says. Like the Republican Party does not exist except for the MAGA movement. And then on the left, what do you have? You have AOC, you have Bernie, and maybe Zoran wins. He's not even in office yet. That's the same, right? That's the same. That's not the same at all, man. And then on the extremism, like you have migrants and you have Jews. No, you don't. No, that's not the same thing. You believing Zoran Mamdani being critical of Israel is not the same thing as Donald Trump in fact trampling people's due process, shredding the Constitution, setting up concentration camps, sending people to South Sudan, breaking up families, sending people to El Salvador. And then when the courts tell him you have to bring this guy back.
I have a message for the Democrats. There's something about how like wonderful Zoran's smile is. Like it is truly, he has such a glowing face of such pure radiance and happiness that putting a gun in the image, or like the images of him holding a joint and handing it to you with his like happy smile. There's something very funny about it. Oh God. Then last week, Caroline had a 9/11 watch party, and it was great seeing all the young people who hadn't seen it relate to what's happening with Iran. Fahrenheit 9/11. That's a big difference. I was like, 9/11 watch party. Are you sure? I was like, I mean, I guess I could see her doing educational content where she shows like the aftermath of 9/11, but 9/11 watch party sounds crazy. You scared the shit out of me. Oh my God. Fahrenheit 9/11. Yes. Yeah, I want to do more community events in general. I think that would be, yeah, I think that would be enjoyable. Like this entire segment from Cuomo is crazy.
Welcome to News Nation, where right and left come to be reasonable. First, personal note, thank you very much for all the kind words about my brother. I didn't cover the mayoral election or even comment on it here at News Nation for obvious reasons. And my feelings about my brother and what he should do now, those are personal, not professional. So suffice it to say, I love and support my brother, and I'm not worried about him. Second, I get why many of you were surprised by the Democratic primary results in New York City. I was not. 2 reasons. One is that it was a low turnout race that people did not think could go the way it did. The enthusiasm and turnout energy were overweighted for the more extreme candidates, as is often the case. And that's one of the problems with our binary system and with our closed primaries. And there were several radical choices in the mix. Not to mention, and contrary to what was sold by his opponents, Andrew's no establishment guy and the party was not loving that he ran. But that's his case to make, okay? The second reason I wasn't surprised is actually worth talking about here because it affects the entire nation. The Democratic Party.
How can you describe ranked choice voting as a binary system. Like, what levels of cope are we at?
Party is now officially in MAGA mode. We are now on both sides in a period of extremism. The same way MAGA played with the prejudices of white nationalism, you're seeing an identical dynamic on the left with prejudices like tacitly supporting extreme Islamism or targeting Jews. For the right, it's migrants. For the left, it's Jews. It's fundamentalist Christians dominating the right. It's fundamentalist Islamists making headway on the left. I know that doesn't sound like Democrats, but that party is dead. What it will be reborn as, we'll see. And this is not about Muslims, at least not for me. It's about extremism. Yes, Islam is growing in the country. In a few decades, the Muslim population is projected to double in size as a share of our overall population. I do not agree, however, with our president that Islam hates us. I don't care if you're a Muslim, a Jew, a Christian, or any other faith, or if you think faith is for fools. It's how you use your beliefs to justify your actions that I care about. And what we're seeing now.
Sorry, I was muted. I like the idea that Mamdani was like, because I am Muslim, I believe in free bus fare. Because I am Muslim, I believe in people having access to food. Because I am Muslim. Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Is that there are many in America who are adopting and adapting to fundamentalism. The outcome in this election wasn't about affordability or about real change. The winner is an open socialist, and the Democratic Party is now just that, socialistic. But be clear, this
Red Scare propaganda. Okay.
is a fictional fix for very real frustrations. An extreme suggestion of free everything that sounds great to those who feel cheated by the system because they are cheated by the system. But this is never going to happen.
Wait, I'm sorry, what did you just say?
Extreme suggestion of free everything that sounds great to those who feel cheated by the system because they are cheated by the system.
People feel like they're cheated by the system because they are being cheated by the system. Am I supposed to start hating Zoran more? What's happening? This feels like that one, the Peter Parker meme. But Peter, he's a communist. I already told you I'm going to vote for him. You don't need to convince me anymore. This one. Trump on Zoran. He's terrible for our country. He's a communist.
Thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York. Someday gets elected. I can't believe that's happening. That's a terrible thing for our country, by the way. He's a communist. We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York. But the rest of the country is revolting against it. Someday gets elected. I can't believe that's.
I support Zoran Mamdani. But Peter, he's a communist. I already told you I support him, Harry. You don't need to sell him to me. That's like what I'm watching right here, where Cuomo thinks that telling people that they are in fact being cheated by the system is supposed to convince us to not vote for him. The guy who's saying you're being cheated and I'm trying to fix it.
But this is never going to happen. It makes sense that the left would want to match what beat them, if you think about it, a populist movement that's grounded in grievance. So now they're hatching their own kind of, if you can't beat them, join them move. Fueled by what? Outrage against Trump. He is the devil. Legitimate disgust at income inequality.
I'm sorry, what?
Of, if you can't beat them, join them move. Fueled by what? Outrage against Trump. He is the devil. Legitimate
He's saying Trump is the devil. Okay.
Disgust at income inequality, a lack of affordability, especially in big cities, and the obvious and skewed outcomes in our society. And there is truth to the outrage, just like there was on the MAGA side. It does seem that the system helps the top, that there are two sets of rules, that the gaps only get bigger, and that everything that has been promised in the past.
Why is this entire Cris Cuomo segment just saying, yep, Zohran Mamdani is completely correct about everything? All of this is true. What is when do we get to the part where he's supposed to be owning him?
By the establishment has failed. That's why the establishment or old guard or system or institutions are all being targeted. And I'm okay with that, depending on what, if anything, follows that's better, okay? And by the way, this as a device in politics is not new, and it works. The French Revolution was led by screams of kill the rich, and that was 17...
Is the Cris Cuomo segment, is the entire thing just... I mean, if you think socialism is a good idea, Zohran did promise that he would end this corrupt system, which is corrupt. If you think socialism is a good system, which, like, what's the...
1989. And the influences then...
But this is also the precise reason that people on the left, people like me, Hassan, Mike, Kyle Klinsky, anyone that's on the left that's actually like a true leftist, has been talking about how we need to stop voting for centrist libs. We need to stop voting for pieces of shit who promise things and don't deliver, like Fetterman. Well, Fetterman just like lost his marbles, unfortunately. Even his like wife and staffers are confused who he's become. And there's a reason we should continue to primary these people and put actual leftists in power. Because when you put leftists that have actual policies and actual principles that they are fighting on, you force people like Cris Cuomo to say, okay, fine. Is there income inequality? Yes. Are there rising housing prices? Yes. Has society gone down the drain? Yes. Is Zohran suggesting that socialism is the answer? Yes. But, like, that would be crazy. And then you make them look like fucking idiots. This is on his show, dude. Like, oh, God.
More Marxist and communist, just like they are on the list. And it works. And by the way, this as a device in politics is not new. And it works. The French Revolution was led by screams of kill the rich, and that was 1789. And the influences then were Marxist and communist, just like they are on the left today. So I will borrow from the French for a word for what this is. It's a revolt. That's
describes one of the most base things that happened in history. Well, the French people in power said that it was a revolt. And you gotta love, by the way, yeah, you gotta love Marxism in 1789. Sorry, Google, quick question. When was Karl Marx born? Google? Oh, 1818. He was born in 1818. Oh my God.
That's what it is. A rejection of how...
I like the idea that, like, voting, engaging in the democratic process of voting.
Yeah, everything sucks, and can you believe this jerk Mamdani wants to fix it?
You really have to love the voting is revolt. Participating in the system that actively exists in the way that they want it to exist, in the way that, like, the Cris Cuomos of the world, the Andrew Cuomos of the world, basically, when I'm saying that they want it to exist, that the liberals, that the fucking libtards of the Democratic Party want it to exist, that when we engage with the system that they made, that they want us to engage with, and then they lose, they're like, this is basically a revolt. You picked the candidate that we didn't want to. Why are you revolting? This is literally just like the French Revolution.
Things are done in that party and in this country. But that's not all it is. Here's what we've learned, my observation. A populist movement these days needs something else, something extreme. Pod bros play to conspiracies. Trump played to type, white fright, danced with evangels who wanted religious indoctrination with the state. Christmas is back, right? He otherized minorities. Build the wall. They're sending rapists. They are eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. transports, the brown menace of migrants, bad hombres. So the left is now generating what I call its reaction formation to that, an equal opposite, a mirror image. What is that? It's an affinity for and appropriation of oppression of minorities. The same people that he targets, they champion. Islam hates us, we're for Islamists. Woke is not enough. Why?
Famous Zoran quote, "We're for Islamists." This is the most bigoted thing I've ever seen. Holy shit, dude. Oh my God. We're going full racism, full Islamophobia right now. Literally the only position that Zoran has that makes any of these people call him radical Islamists or call him a radical Islamist is he's personally Muslim and he thinks Israel should be a state where Palestinians have equal rights. And that is equivalent to we're for Islamists.
Too many are broke to focus on woke. Political correctness overcorrected. Can't.
What world am I living in? Why is Cris Cuomo on the air saying, "Go woke, go broke"? Oh my God. Oh, we're soy writing. We're soy writing so hard, dude.
Canceling is passe, and certainly not extreme enough to match what they must muster to get a movement in the crowded, angry echo chamber. But to go full MAGA in the opposite direction, that seems to fit. And that's what we are living in this moment. Playing to how the poor...
I like how even his false equivalency didn't make any sense at all. He listed like 20 different terrible positions from the right. And then all he could list for the left was radical Islamists. On 537, when he was describing the right, here's what he said.
Right? He otherized minorities. Build the wall. They're sending rapists. They are eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Transports, the brown menace of migrants, bad hombres. So the left is now
He lists off, obviously, ICE policies. He lists off trans, I don't even know what you would call it, trans scare. He lists off, the eating the dogs, eating the cats. And then what does he get? What does he have for the left? That the left is championing radical Islamism. Because Zoran is Muslim.
That seems to fit. And that's what we are living in this moment. Playing to how the poor are oppressed here and elsewhere has gotten traction, and it should. But that's why you see free everything, anti-police, pro-Hamas, not even rejecting calls to globalize the intifada, outrage at ICE.
Now we're openly lying. Zoran is pro-Hamas, says Cris Cuomo with no evidence at all.
Embracing the anger of those rejected by MAGA. The latest, you see the violence, you see the murders. They're not angry jihadis, right? They're American men who have been disaffected and enraged and are now all too comfortable with an extreme reaction in advance of...
What murders? What the fuck is he talking about? What angry Americans murdering on the left is he talking about? All of the major stories of violence have been from right-wingers. The assassins, the Trump assassins, right-wingers. Oh, I guess the embassy worker. No, you're right. You're right. No. I think I was thinking of like the Waymos. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But that guy wasn't white either. So he's like trying to push this idea that like when he says American, he's trying to signal like white Americans are being pushed towards jihadist policies and principles. But the thing is that violence was in fact decried by the left because it doesn't help the movement like at all. Like purely on a strategic sense, you should be against the guy who killed the Israeli embassy workers because it makes the Palestinian movement look bad. Even if you have no other opinions on the topic or you feel negatively about those embassy workers or you feel positively about those embassy workers.
Their policies.
Pretty sure he's talking about Luigi Mangione. Yeah, but Luigi Mangione is like is a beloved icon of America because healthcare is so broken. You can't convince people that he's a right winger or a left winger. Trust me. Charlie Kirk tried, Ben Shapiro tried, Matt Walsh tried, and their entire comment section was filled with this isn't a left wing versus right wing thing.
Of politics. That's what it's about. That's extremism playing out in our ranks and being adopted by the left and the right fringe as well. But that's what it is, a battle of extremes. The latest, trying to make the regime in Iran a victim and insisting the bombing had to be a failure. Now, will this new iteration of the left work? I don't know. Trump certainly took the bait, right?
This is another thing that I don't understand from Democrats, from liberal, neo-lib fucking shill Democrats. It doesn't matter how much extreme Sharia law is in Iran. That doesn't give you the right to start bombing the shit out of them. That doesn't fix their country. It sets them back even farther. You know what other area is filled with backwards ideas about how people should live? The entirety of the fucking Bible Belt. It doesn't mean you should fucking carpet bomb the Bible Belt because there's innocent people that fucking live there. And also, you're not going to see change by firebombing it.
Came at the winner here in New York City. That only helps them. And he didn't even mention Mayor Adams, who's supposed to be his guy, which is also telling about what the president values and is concerned about. So the better question is not if this movement will win an election or two, but whether it will create positive change. See, my big criticism of MAGA, and now it's what was the Democratic Party opposite, whatever they decide to call it, my problem is that they successfully take advantage of real angst, real pain, but they rarely deliver.
You're just talking about Andrew Cuomo, dude. Like, what are we talking about?
Many who signed up for MAGA, but they did not sign up for a lot that has come.
Andrew Cuomo was peak on this topic, talking about like the violence in New York City, talking about how he's going to fix the state, how he's going to improve the lives of people, how he understands that New Yorkers are suffering. And then when it comes to actually delivering any policy at all, send more people to Rikers Island? Also, this is so obviously directed at not New Yorkers, by the way, because New Yorkers hate Cuomo. I'm telling you, as a New Yorker, everybody hated Cuomo.
To pass. Groceries and gas and the economy and less foreign entanglements. None of that has worked out as promised, at least not yet. And I suspect we would see the same on the radical left. America will not go socialist or Islamist. Now, one good aspect with MAGA and the radical left and whatever they...
Too bad, bitch. It's going Islamic. Says you, bitch.
They decide to call this movement. It's not for me to name it. We'll see. There should be change. The establishment should be attacked. But breaking disruption is easy and incomplete if there is not reformation or improvement. My pop always said, and he was a real Democrat, by the way. He was a real one. He didn't just piss off workers or minorities or underprivileged or target enemies, you know, and make you angry. He was not a demagogue. He was a Democrat. He fought.
Oh my God, dude. The nepotism is crazy.
To make real changes that were reasonable. And he did. He used
Fuck your reasonable changes. Fuck you. Fuck you and your reasonable changes. Hell, no. Fuck you. I want unreasonable goals, okay? I want the unreasonable goal of $30 minimum wage, okay? I'm sorry, we didn't get change by thinking reasonably. Europe didn't overthrow its dictators by thinking reasonably. They didn't say, oh, well, we wouldn't want to, intrude on the monarchs at all. No, how about a better society?
To say any jackass can kick down a barn, but it takes a lot more to build one. And that's what's missing on the fringe of both sides.
I like how, again, Zoran literally has a fuckload of policies on how he's going to fix New York and the things that he'd like to fix in New York. And now we're just pretending like he's just trying to break the system.
They do not have the ideas or the execution to make things better. They just talk the talk. Where is the work of real immigration reform in this administration? Yes, the border is closed down, laws are being enforced, but we need legislation, right? I've had the head of the CBP. I've had Tom Homan, the ICE czar.
That makes us like you less, not more. Capitulating to fucking Tom Marbles in his mouth Homan doesn't make anybody like you more.
Here, what do they want? Rule changes and resources that take legislation.
Yeah, and what rule changes do they want to make?
Where are the deals? It's not a coincidence on the left either. Bernie and AOC are the faces of this new movement. Now, I respect the senator and I respect the representative's passion. And they have both done well getting famous, but they have never made any change.
Me when I lie.
It is
talking about them becoming famous when you are literally fucking Cris Cuomo is crazy.
That people who are so desperate for better, and they should be, are so often deceived by those who promise everything and deliver nothing. If only getting things done sold as well as burning things down. 6 years in office for AOC, almost 20 for Bernie, and almost nothing to show for it in terms of delivering on what they say they want. And why is that? Because we are a capitalist country, not a socialistic one, and never will be. And the majority does not embrace extremism, at least not yet. And I say that because every day extremism floods our coverage, floods our social media culture, was a big player in this election and in the last national one. The polls don't work anymore the way they used to. Social media is what drives turnout, and you can't measure it with a poll and samples the way they used to. Learn that lesson. Polls are just ways to advance narratives for the media. They are rarely predictive and certainly not more than a picture of a moment in time. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and down.
My God, why was that so fucking loud? Thank you so much for subscribing. Fucking editors, dude. Why is our social media presence so much worse than Zoran Mamdani's? Huh? You want us to spend money making sure that the audio is good? No, who gives a fuck about that? I hear Wormy in the other room going, meow, meow, meow. I agree, Wormy. We are all supporters of Mao here.